Last session, what we have done, we have learned about the loading criteria on chassis frames in the automobile. So now our criteria is to identify loading conditions in the frame, body frame. We are having 16 different surfaces in body frame which should be analyzed. I'll give credit to the content to the commercial vehicle construction and loading criteria for this lecture session. I have referred this content for you from the reference book Automotive Engineering Powertrain Chassis System and Vehicle Body, which have been published by David A. Crolla. Its ISBN number is also available. You can refer it. We have seen in previous lecture that there are 16 different surfaces in automobile which have been mounted on chassis. So which are those surfaces? You can see over here. First is the transverse floor beam. This is the beam. The second one is transverse floor beam at rear. So this is the beam which is available at rear. I'll note it so you will be able to identify from its exact location. Okay, so this one is the first component. This one is the second component. Transverse floor beam at front and at rear. Now there is third component and fourth component which are representing the inner wing panels carrying the powertrain. Which are those components? You will be able to identify over here. This is the 3 and 4 components. Front inner wing panels carrying powertrain. Now you will have 16 different surfaces. I'll go for fifth, which is dash panel. So this one is the dash panel. If you can observe it, this one is the dash panel. 5 is indicated on that surface. Then there is front parcel shelf. From name you can understand it is for holding the parcel. It is available over here. This is the shelf which is holding the parcel and it is available at front. So this is the sixth component. In similar manner, we are having rear parcel shelf also, which is 10. This one is the rear parcel shelf. It is indicated by 10. I'll go for 7 and 8. Rear quarter panels carrying luggage load. You will be able to see this 7 and 8 over here. Just like 3 and 4, you are having 7 and 8. Rear quarter panels carrying luggage load. You need to understand each and every component and its location so that whenever you are designing it, the name is termed, you will be able to understand this is the name and this is the location for the component we are referring right now. Then the panel behind the rear seat is also available, as we have seen. The 5, what was the fifth component? Dash panel, transverse panel between passengers, and the powertrain component. An engine compartment, you can say. This is the fifth one, what I am saying. In similar manner, you are having the other component, which is 9, panel behind the rear seats. So whenever you are having frontal impact, this will save the driver and front passenger. And whenever rear impact happens to any automobile, this will help you out to save the passengers who are sitting behind or at rear seats. Now we are having a floor panel which will help us to place our foot. So you will be able to see it over here. This is the floor panel. This one is the floor panel, if you can imagine. Okay, so at bottom you are having it. 12 and 13 are left hand and right hand side frames. You'll be able to see it over here. This is the side frame. I'll notate it so you will have that clear image. This is the side frame and this one is the other side frame. So these are the two side frames. Then you are having windscreen frame at front. This is the windscreen frame. If possible, have its clear view. The front observation region is the windscreen plane. Then roof panel. At top you will find that roof panel, and backlight frame would be available at the rear end. So these are the surfaces what we need to construct and observe during our manufacturing or designing of any component. Here, in previous cases, we have learned that loads are acting on chassis in particular way, and I have also shown you that how those loads are going to work and how to visualize it. We have gone for an overhang beam observation with particular loading condition. We have seen that the load which is acting over here would be a reaction, as well the loads which will act to have certain configuration observation. So we have generated a free body diagram, and by solving that free body diagram we have been able to analyze that our system is going to work for design criteria, for stress strength criteria in particular manner. This is the three-dimensional view of the criteria what we have observed in 2 dimension. So we are having front region who is having loads, rear region who is having loads, and front and rear, you can say, floor beams which carries load. We have also counted reaction depending on the bending moment theories. Now we are going to observe the individual surfaces for the action of load, individual loading conditions on particular surfaces. So as we have started with the load which is acting on different beams, then this is the transverse floor beam 1, which is having certain load. If we are saying P1 is the reaction available, then FPF, F is force, PF, that is passengers at front. So the front passenger load is going to be divided as 2%, and P1 is the reaction. So what we are getting the condition like this: P1 is equal to FPF divided by 2. I'll represent it over here with the help of a diagram. If we are saying that this is the component, so here what is going to happen? We'll have a frontal beam. On that front beam, we'll have a particular loading condition. Now I'll draft that loading condition and how we are observing it. This is the component what we are observing, and these are the reference reactions what we are seeing, P1 and P2. And front passengers, whenever they are listed or they are assigned, those front passengers are designating a particular load as front passenger load and front passenger load 2. Now if I am designating it in particular manner, if I am saying that this is the front passenger 1's load and this is the front passenger 2's load, and the reaction which is offered is P1 at both the regions, then our consideration will go like this: P1 plus P2 equals FP1 plus FP2. This is the reaction equation what we see. In our case, the load have been assigned as front passengers in common. So the designation what we have seen is somewhat different than what we are seeing. So how it is? It is like this. It is FPR, front passenger load, divided by 2. Over here also FPR divided by 2. and P1 is counted like this. Front passenger load FPL is same, and here is P1. So my equation will go like this: 2P1 equals FPR. So P1 is going for FPR by 2. We are getting same equation here. You can see the equation is written like this: FPF divided by 2, that is front passenger's force, and I have written it FPR. There is no difference, just there is designation difference. You can imagine the equation formulation. You can deal with the equation formulation. In similar manner, we are having the transverse floor beam rear loading condition. So you can go through the same observation to analyze the condition. Now this is where we have found that these components are available over here. If you can clearly visualize these components, then these components are available over here. Now you are imagining that where this component will exactly be available, then these components are going to be available over here. These are the components: component 1 and component 2. So be clear what you are doing and how you need to analyze the criteria or loading condition in your component. This is frontal beam 1 and this is rear beam, on which loads are acting. This one is the rear beam and this one is the frontal beam. We have seen the load condition and criteria for this particular configuration. Now I'll move ahead. So this is the first two components. Now if I am discussing 3 and 4, what is 3 and 4? Those are the front members on which powertrain loads are supported. So these are the components what we need to see and understand. I hope you are clear about the concept. We are working on surface 3 and surface 4 and loading criteria for surface 3 and 4. So how exactly the load distribution will occur in this particular case? As we are aware, the vertical upward and downward loads are just helping us out to count the reactions, but in plane when we move ahead, there will be bending loads and shear loads. So when we are working on bending loads acting on a component, we need to identify how much bending load is available at the edges. So when we refer different edges of component, in a component here, we are referring component as a surface. So when we go on observing a particular surface, refer it as a surface number 3. If we are referring surface 3, then what is going to happen? So this is the surface number 3. So in surface 3, if we go ahead for observation of P3, then P3 works in downward direction. I'll place a surface over here to have a clear imagination how it is going to work. This is the surface number 3. Load P3 is acting in downward direction. So this is the P3 load. RFL works over here in upward direction, and PR, FPF, that is front powertrain load, FPT we can say, that FPT works over here. So P3 is equal to, you can see over here, this one is P3, it is equal to the reactive load, which is RF L, and the other load which is available over here is FPT divided by 2. Why I have taken this one? I have taken this one because FPT is complete load available from powertrain, and on this particular surface it is half. So this is the criteria what we refer. Now another formation is available like this. What is the moment equation for this particular criteria? As we have referred, the load condition will be like this: P3 plus FPT divided by 2 is equal to RFL, or you can make P3 a subject. When I'll move ahead to identify P4, my criteria is going to be like this. P4 is the load which is acting at the uppermost corner in our component. So where is that particular uppermost corner? This is the uppermost corner where the load is going to act. And what is the load criteria? I'll say the load P4 is acting like this, P4, and to have its reaction, P5 is working like this. Why? Because all forces acting on surfaces should be in equilibrium. If it is not in equilibrium, then there will be possibilities of having distortions or deformations in components. So this is the P4 and this is the P5. Okay, and here our condition is what? P4 is equal to P5. Now, if I'm taking moment about the rear lower corner, then what is going to happen? P4 is going to be multiplied with H1, where H1 is the height of plate. So P4 is going to be multiplied with H1. P4 multiplied by H1. This is the first moment where we are taking moment. Here it is mentioned, rear lower corner. This is the region where we are taking our moment. Okay, so P4 multiplied by H1, that is the counterclockwise movement. P5 multiplied by, we are aware that P4 is equal to P5, so we'll count it for one time. RFL multiplied by L1, then FPT divided by 2 multiplied by, I hope you are able to understand this one, RFL multiplied by L1, and FPT by 2 is multiplied by L1 plus LPT divided by FPT by 2 is there. So we are placing it over here. So this is our expression P4. P4 multiplied by H1 is equal to this whole configuration. Now what is going to happen? After observing this one, whatever loading condition is available for P3, similar will be available for P4. So you need to understand it clearly that this is the criteria what we are seeing for P3 and P4. Now when we go for the dash panel and front parcel shelf, then there will be another loading condition. You can imagine in previous configurations of automobile, P6 was not separately, in previous configuration before 20 to 30 years, P6 was a member of body, but nowadays whatever configuration is designed, those configurations are having P6 as a member which is assembled within. So P6 configurations are different now, but in previous era, it have been welded to the main body, or it is treated as a part of the body. Nowadays, it is assembled component. So you are getting different dash panels for your automobiles. So as we are going for fifth component, we can clearly see P6 is in downward direction, and we are getting, this is the P6, and we are getting reactions in terms of P3 in upward direction. So the P6 and P3 should be equal. We are maintaining it to balance the whole loading condition. So how these joints between 4 and 5 should be designed? The joints between 3, 4 and 5 and the floor panel should be designed in such way that the loads in vertical upward and downward direction should be in equilibrium in the member number 5. In similar manner, when I go for front parcel shelf, the loads which are generated in this component should get balanced or should be in equilibrium to maintain the strength of component without deformation. So we are working on individual components like this. So we are saying that P7 and P4 are in equilibrium for which component? For the front shelf. Now you will say, sir, from where we have got the P4 value? You can imagine over here. This is the reaction which is available from the frontal panels. So these are the P4s for our shelf. This is the P5 which have been acting towards the front upper corner, right upper corner of the plate. So when you will see the component, you will have that view that this is the P3, what we have seen over here in downward direction. When it is switched to the front panel, it is in upward direction. That is action and reaction observation. So P3 on panel, front panel works in downward direction in similar manner. P3 at the dash panel works in upward direction. And who reacts it? P6 reacts it. So we are not having P6 in the 3 and 4, but we'll have P6 as a reaction of it. In similar manner, when I refer the horizontal forces, I'm having P5 over here and P4s over here. So P4 is getting reacted with the help of P5. So P4 will be over here acting in rightward direction. Here it was in leftward direction or towards the front panels, inner wing panels, and this is towards the body. And P7 is going to react with those P4. So P6 and P7 are the reactions offered by the body, and P3 and P4 are the loads available from the frontal inner wing components. So as we go on discussing the rear region, rear quarter panels 7 and 8, where have been those panels? Those panels have been over here. So you need to be clear what we are observing and why we are working on these components individually. We need to work on these components individually because as we go on calculating the forces, we will be able to stabilize or make the forces in equilibrium, or we can define equilibrium of forces over there by designing a component with proper strength. So these are the components 7 and 8. When we move ahead for that observation, as we have seen in the first section, we'll have particular loading conditions which can be analyzed using various criteria. If I'll go on referring the P8, then this is the P8 available. Which are the reacting loads on this particular member? R, RL and F. L by 2. FL is luggage load. Why we are dividing it by 2? Because we are referring single surface, surface number 7. So this is the vertical upward and downward loading diagram. Under action of this load, our plate is getting bended and it is defining reactions at the joint. So which are those reactions and actions at particular joint region? We'll say this is the joint region what we need to study. This is the joint region what we need to study. And in that zone, under action of this load, we are getting the profile load like this. It is P8 and P10. So what is going to happen? We'll be referring this criteria for whole understanding of concept. And we'll go in detail. P8 is there, P9 is there, and P10 is there. So P10 is equal to P9. This is the load what we are observing. This one, P9 and P10 are equal. Okay, you will be able to refer it. And extra load P8 is available. So as I am going for moment consideration, then I'll go for this particular criteria P9 P9 multiplied by H is the height of panel, is equal to RRL multiplied by L2. L2 is the distance between the RR rear load as well the joint region. So we are referring this distance over here. This is the L2 distance. This one is the L2 distance. Minus FL by 2 multiplied by L1 plus L2. L1 plus L2 is the distance from the joint region to the FL by 2. So we are having this particular expression. And in our case, we are considering P10 is equal to P9. Why? Because equilibrium condition is required for observing all loading criteria. Okay, so this is the panel number 7 and 8's observation. Now if I'll move ahead for panel number 9 and 10, as we have seen for panel number 5 and 6, we are having same configuration. 5 was the dash panel, 6 was the front parcel shell. In similar manner, 9 is the panel behind the rear seats, and 10 is the rear parcel shelf. We are having action and reaction over here. This is the action what we are referring. This is the reaction what we have studied. I have already discussed this parameter for panel 5 and 6. In similar manner, we are having this particular configuration. Now, as I move ahead for floor panels, then what is going to happen in floor panel? The region which is available is at the downmost region of the chassis or body frame, we can say. Where it is available? It is available over here. This is the region what we study, the bottommost region of that component. So which are the loading conditions for this component? We can say there are profile loads P5, P10 and P13s. So as I make an equilibrium equation of forces, what is going to happen? 2 times P13 is going to be 2 times of P13 plus 2 times of P5 is going to be equal to 2 times P10. So P13 is going to be equal to P10 minus P5. This is the condition for floor panel. As we refer the left and right hand side frames, then the load consideration is going to be like this. P6 is working in vertical upward direction. From where we are taking that P6, you can say it is available from here. And which is this component? This is dash panel which is available in front. From where we have got P3 and P6, you can say the P3 was the load acting at the joint in downward direction. To have its reaction in the next panel, we are keeping it in equilibrium with equilibrium condition consideration in upward direction. To have its reaction, we are having P6 in downward direction. And now in this session, this P6 is working in upward direction when that frontal panel is having, or dash panel is having contact with the left or right hand frame panel. We are having P6 for both left and right panel. The P1 is the load from the region in downward direction. That is from beam, frontal beam. From where we have got that one, you can refer frontal beam panel over here. This is the P1 working in upward direction. Where is the frontal beam? You can observe it over here. This is the frontal beam. In our case, it is available over here. It is having this kind of reactions, and that P1 is forwarded over here, P1. In similar manner, we are having P2. From where we have got P11, it is available from panel number 7 and 8. From where we have got P12, it is available from panel 7. And from where we have got P13, it is available from panel number 4. So these are the reactions, and what is going to be the vertical forces equilibrium condition? We'll say P6 plus P11 is equal to P1 plus P2. When I am keeping all members on single side, then P6 minus P1 minus P2 plus P11 equal to 0 is the resolution of forces in vertical direction. As we refer resolution of forces in horizontal direction, then P7 plus P13 is equal to P12. Now, when we take moments at particular region, moments about the lower corner of the windscreen, then what are the moments should be. You can refer it like this, where we are taking moment of this component, we are taking moment over here. So when we take moment in this zone over here, what is going to be the condition? The condition is going to be like this. You can refer it from here, P1 multiplied by L3. We can have two different corners as we are having the components over here, clockwise or counterclockwise you can refer. So I'll go on having moment on alternate section, on other section. We'll refer it over here. If I'm referring it over here, what is going to happen? Then we'll have criteria like this, P1 multiplied by L3, then P2 multiplied by L4 in same direction. Then we'll have these two are in clockwise direction. As I am referring P11, then P11 multiplied by L5, and then we'll have P12, then P12 is going to be multiplied by, if the component's total height is considered to be H2, then it will be H2 minus H1, which is equal to 0. So this is the criteria what we refer for observing the condition of movements in particular zone. And the most important factor is, look, the roof panel, the windscreen frame and back panel are having zero load condition. Why? Because whole other frame is in equilibrium, so that we consider that there is no load acting on the windscreen. You can even refer your automobile, whether the glass of your automobile, four-wheeler or any commercial vehicle is getting cracks due to deformation of components. No, we have not found that yet in lakhs or millions of vehicles which are transporting on road. So the front windscreen frame is having zero load conditions, and due to that we are able to assemble glass on it. We are placing some openings due to which, if any deformation happens due to sudden load or anything, then glass should not break under action of fatigues, under action of impact loads on the chassis, to maintain its stability or its configuration. Glass, because glass is a brittle material, it will fail if it is having impact or any kind of twisting loads. So due to that, lakhs of vehicles, billions or trillions of vehicles running on road, their glass is not getting bricked. Windscreen frame is stable in such a way that the glass which is assembled on it never breaks. Same thing is referred for the roof panel also, but in roof panel we have to consider one more factor, that something, if it jumps on your roof panel, then there will be damages to roof panel. So we have to consider that fact in mind. And the back frame, just like the front frame, is also not having any kinds of loads. So these are not subjected to any load in bending case. These may have some twisting criteria in it, but these loads are not impacting on the roof panels, backlight panels and the windscreen panels. So this is the overall view of the configuration what we have seen. Loading conditions, you need to observe it clearly, actions and reactions, load transfer criteria. This whole configuration diagram is available. I'll share this PPT with you. Thank you very much for attending this session. Now the session is open for questions.